We've been playing the Quest RPG on Nerdarchy Live channel for quite a while now.
Sounds like you want to do a video and talk about Quest RPG.
I'm Nerdarchist Ted.
I'm Nerdarchist Dave. Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds.
I guess it's time to let the Quest RPG talk begin.
So, as we stated, we're going to be talking about the Quest RPG game, and right now we've been playing it. We're like 9 sessions in, never played it before, and we are kind of like playing a spiritual successor to a game that ran on the channel a few years ago, which was a 5e D&D game, Ingest Quest, which was kind of one of the first food-centric, food-based streamed RPG games, and also Spelljammer. And so we decided to kind of like continue with one of the characters from that, some of the plot threads and storylines, but instead of using D&D, Nerder Doug wanted to run Quest, and Quest, the person that runs the game, is called the Guide. So Nerder Doug is our guide in the world of Quest.
Yeah, so now if you want to go check that out, you can head over to our Nerdarchy Live channel. It is our partner channel. It is, us doing all of the typical live stuff that we do. It's definitely a lot of fun, and there's a lot of fun games and interviews over there.
So the Quest RPG game, in a nutshell, one disclaimer: we are not experts by any means. Most of and we have not, I would not even say we've poured through the rules and mastered everything. This is more about our experiences playing the games and how we understand that it works. But in a nutshell, it is a very rules-like game. There are not a lot of mechanics to it, and some of the mechanics and stuff that you would expect in other RPGs don't even exist in this game.
So the game is designed to kind of celebrate and lean into the simplicity of its design. It's designed to collaboratively tell stories together and just have a lot of fun with it. All of the little nuts and bolts that some people absolutely adore from other role-playing games just don't exist in something like this.
Now, with this game, there is one thing you may still find you want to use and and that is maps, because, everyone likes to see where they're going and where things are located. It is not a very combat-centric game, but combats and tests do happen in it, so you might need to know where things are. And one of our partners and sponsors is Dungeon Fog, which is a great piece of mapping software that you can use to build your own maps. And whether you're building fantasy, modern day, futuristic, they've got you covered. It's so cool to use and so intuitive. It kind of makes me feel like being a kid again, drawing on graph paper, but my maps never look so good. And like I said, it's also intuitive. Sometimes I use these map programs and they do a fantastic job, but I feel like I need to know AutoCAD just to make a basic map with them. And the best part of all is you can check it out and try it for free with a free trial. Not a free trial, but a free account. It'll give you access to a bunch of the features to just see if you like it. It's something you want to use. We will put a link down in the description.
Hey, you like these videos and the articles we do over on nerdarchy.com, and you'd like to help Nerdarchy keep doing them? Why not head over to Patreon and support us over there?
As a special reward, you will receive 5e content for players and DMs alike every month, delivered right to your inbox. As we mentioned, Dungeon Fog. Well, Dungeon Fog, I use to make maps in my own game, which we throw up over there so you can kind of check out and see what we're doing, drop in encounters. We're building magic items, some of which we turn into print and play cards for you. We're making spells, subclasses, races, feats, and so much more. There will be a link in the description and the card up here if you want to help support the channel.
All right, so looking at the Quest RPG game, I think most people are going to say, well, what are the mechanics all about? So let's start off.
At the end of the day, the Quest RPG mechanics are super simple, and it is a D20 system. So if you're used to rolling a D20, you're in luck. That's the only die you're going to need for this one. But there are no modifiers or anything. It's just a straight die, and depending on what you roll, kind of determines what's going on.
So you have a 1 that, just like in D&D, that's bad. That's a catastrophe. You're gonna have a severe setback. Something bad is gonna happen. A 2 through 5, that is a failure. You not only didn't succeed at what you were trying to do, but you could suffer a slight setback. Your weapon might break, or you might draw an attack from an opponent. A 6 through 10 is going to be your tough choice. This is where you can succeed, possibly, depending upon what you're trying to do. but you have a choice that has to be made. Either you make the attack, but your weapon might damage, or you might fall over and suffer something else. An 11 through 19 is just a straight success. Whatever you were trying to do, it happened. And a 20 is a triumph. You managed to not only succeed at what you were going to do, you did so spectacularly. If you're trying to, attack somebody, you're actually going to do extra damage.
Now, two of the stats that you have in this game, actually, it's the only two stats you have in this game, is your HP and your AP.
Your hit points and your ability points.
And so, everyone has the same amount of hit points. I think it might even be a predetermined number. We all started off with 10. We have 10. If something happens, you take damage, minus it from your hit points. Your ability points is basically your character has a bunch of abilities they can use. And, depending on those abilities, they may cost 0 to, I think I have abilities that cost up to 6.
I have an ability that costs 7.
Yeah, so that's going to determine. Again, when we started it, we started with 10 ability points that we use and we can spend. So that's kind of like the currency and main resources of this game.
The great thing about this is, unlike D&D, where you can have the unrealistic, I have got 370 some hit points. That dragon's got 1,000, and all I've got is this sword that's going to do a die 8. There's no way to effectively have that, scale. In Quest, 10 hit points. There's no going up and above that. There's no stats to modify the number of hit points that you have up or down. It is just, you get 10. Your ability points, you might be able to convince the DM to allow you to go above that typical threshold. But for the most part, they start at 10. And, when you rest, you can heal back up to, but there's no going above and beyond. So unless you're going something crazy and you're going outside, the norm, that's what's there. And that's a lot of fun and allows you to keep a regular scaled game through a long story.
And kind of just to reiterate something that we've kind of mentioned a couple times is you get no bonuses. You don't even have stats. Most games, you have at least a couple stats. With this, there are no stats. So with that, we should start talking about getting to the character creation aspects of the game.
So the fun thing about the character creation is when you begin kind of looking at what's there, there's no stats, there's no race. You just have, a character sheet and a character class. And the
Can you pull up the character sheet for us, Ted? So the character sheet is very narrative, right? And it's a big part of how you build your character. And it affects aspects of your character, but none of them are mechanical. So I don't know if people are familiar with Mad Libs. It seems like an old person thing at this point. But the character sheet very much reminds me of Mad Libs. And, I'm looking at Ted's book right there. So there's 8 things that we're going to fill out. Could you just read through it?
All right. So, hello, my name is, and it's got blank and a space for your pronouns. So your name and your pronouns can be filled in. I'm age, years old, and stand height tall. I am the party's role. When people see me, they first notice my distinctive features. And there's 3 places to be able to put them in. I wear style and, blanks. And move with blank. I'm from blank, where my people are known for community. I believe in an ideal, but my flaw side can get in my way. I dream of, insert dream. I carry, use your character worksheet to, say what it is that you've got. So you've got this whole thing. So if you want to play a game where you vastly look different than everyone else around you, Quest allows for that to happen because it's literally whatever you can imagine, visually. And you don't need to have mechanics that go along with it. You want to be a large hippo person that, looks like a GIF from the typical D&D world. That's this guy over here. You want to be a strange octopoid creature with color-changing skin based entirely upon your emotions? Yeah, that's me over here. So it's totally doable with this. And that's one of the things that I absolutely adore about this system.
Now we get into one of the places with your character creation where you actually do kind of choose mechanical benefits, I guess is the best way to put it, right? This is like one of the few things that you're going to make a choice and it's mechanically going to have a factor to it. Maybe the only place, and that is choosing your role, and that would be like your character class in D&D. And the only thing I shouldn't say the only thing, but the thing you get from that is your abilities, things you choose. You start off with 3, and then after every session, you just gain 1, right? And there's, I think there's like 5 or 6 to 8 different categories, and in each category will have 3 to
6,
3 to 6 or 8, a bunch of them in there that you choose, and they're trees, right? So you can't just pick whatever you want. You have to go up and down the trees, but there's a ton of things, and what are the roles that we can choose?
So you've got fighter, invoker, ranger, naturalist, doctor, magician, spy, and wizard. And each of them are going to call to different, thought patterns that you might have. So, like your doctor, this could be your typical cleric, or it could be your necromancer, depending upon how you want to look at it. Your naturalist, this is going to be your druid. Your ranger falls in the ranger and rogue category. Your invoker is that one who has magical abilities and combat abilities at the same time. Fighter is exactly, where you feel. This covers your barbarian, your fighter, your monk with ease. You could step out of the ranger role if you're looking for a rogue and go into the spy, because there's definitely things that are there. But I feel that spy kind of like steps into a handful of other classes as well. You got magician and wizard. So magician is more your illusionist, whereas wizard is more of like your straight up,
D&D
spellcaster. Yeah. So, and because there's so many different, trees to choose from, each time you make a character, it can be vastly different than the last one you made, even if you choose the same role.
Yeah, so you have a lot of options, a lot of choices. There's a lot of different ways to build your character. It's very reskinnable. So like, Quest is set up to be a fantasy game, and right now I think they're working on a sci-fi version. Mm-hmm. But honestly, you could take the fantasy version and really make it into sci-fi or any genre you want it, because the game is so narrative and descriptive. There's not a whole lot there. But if you want a game that's easy to pick up, easy to learn, and just want to play with your friends and get going, this is a great game for you. So one of the other things about, character creation, and the final thing is inventory, right? And inventory literally is you get 12 things that you can just pick, and it doesn't matter what they are. It could be anything. They don't necessarily have any intrinsic value to the game themselves. If they happen to be a weapon, they're going to do 1 or 2 points of damage, because that's all weapons ever do. But, Nerd Doug played in a game, and he just one of the things he put on his character sheet was sunscreen. They happened to be playing in a game where there was these magical umbrellas over top of the cities blocking the harmful rays of the sun, because maybe it was like Dark Sun or something like that. And that went down, and they had to solve the mystery. So he was like, "Oh, I know, I'm going to pull out my sunscreen." Had no idea. It was just like a silly thing he had on his character sheet. My character has a monocle and a top hat and a tuxedo, which have nothing to do with game mechanics per se. Later on, I did take an ability that kind of gives me magical glasses. So now my monocle does that for me as well. So I just incorporated the equipment that I had. I think you might have some really kind of standard things, like some books.
So I have a book that narrates what actually happened in the last campaign. So I've got the foils cover with the certificate of authenticity of the Ingest Quest book. I've got a book of legends about marine life and what have you. I have a whole bunch of food-related ingredients, based off of some of the issues that happened in the previous game. And then I have things that are linked to a handful of different characters from the initial ingest quest because my character's like a super fan of them. So I'm like, oh, well, if I ever have a chance to meet this person, I want to be able to do this to kind of impress them. And if I ever meet this person, this is what I want to do. And then like they had gone and fought like a marshmallow golem in like a chocolate area, but nobody had graham crackers. So I'm like, well, clearly I need to make sure I've got graham crackers because they couldn't make s'mores because of it. And how disastrous is it to have chocolate and marshmallow and not be able to make s'mores?
Yeah, like my character carries a K-bar spork, utility spork, military grade, because I just decided I feel like that's something every GIF would be issued.
Yeah.
So definitely have that. So inventory is just a place to have fun. And there may be some times in the game where you're like, something comes up and you have this piece of equipment and then you can bring it up to your guide and then your guide might be like, oh, yeah, you can use that, or, maybe to give you a benefit, maybe it won't.
So,
but it's just a cool, like, narrative thing.
So some of the benefits and abilities, as opposed to, something really requiring a roll, it can just be like, oh, well, using this item or using this ability could just be like, well, you auto succeed on whatever it is that you were trying to do. Now, we sometimes play a little bit loosey-goosey with the rules and the abilities. So we've definitely kind of stretched things beyond rules as written. But that's just how our table happens to be doing things, which I personally love. If you're going to play Quest, then, you're going to do it the way that you guys see and you want to do.
From the guide side, the only thing I can think of off the top of my head that might be worth mentioning is like the monsters are kind of either split into two different categories: commoners, minions, or bosses.
Right.
And you have a lot of powers that just automatically work well on your commoners and minions. It's like, you can just murder them with impunity based on a lot of your abilities, or you do stuff to them and they just kind of have to go along with it. Where bosses are tougher and they might resist it, and also bosses have hit points. The minions and commoners, I think they just automatically die when you hit them, or very close.
I think it's definitely low because we've had minions that we've hit and they didn't just fall over and die, but there are powers that are kind of like in the middle of the tree to the upper end of the tree, or your legendary abilities, and these like, oh, you rout a number of minions, and they just run from you, no problems. It's like, oh, you can just kill any minion in your way, or if it's a boss, it's going to deal X amount of damage. There's a lot of very cool abilities that are in here, and like just giving this a read for the uniqueness is great, but it also could kind of give you some thematic things that you might do to kind of alter how you're running a D&D game. I just think it's a lot of fun to see a different take. So it's definitely a lot of fun. Can alter your D&D game in a lot of different ways. Just giving this a read through and see how it inspires you.
We don't know that much about the game from the guide side of it. We just know from what we've experienced as players. And again, just to reiterate, by no means are we Quest experts. Over on the live chat, we actually had the creator from Quest on and talked to them, which was really cool. And they just wanted to create a game that was really simple for people to just start playing and not have to think about. There's not a lot of choices or rules you need to know. On the D20, literally, like, there's just these categories of success and failure. And a new player really doesn't even have to know that. They just roll the D20, and the guide will tell them whether what that actually means. And it won't take that long for them to catch on. I think a lot of us playing this particular game are using Quest Companion. It's not affiliated to the Quest RPG creator, but there's like an open source, so other people are allowed to use it. And it's just an app that makes creating your characters really easy. I'm just using the free version, which has been super useful. I think if I want to make more characters, I'd have to upgrade to a paid version, which that's been pretty cool as well.
Yeah, using the companion is very, very helpful because it allows you to keep stock of all of your abilities, your hit points, your AP, all within one place, and it's very convenient to just be able to do like a form fill out and select the different things that are appropriate. You can even upload a picture to say what your character looks like. I think I kind of like stole. I think the race is like Nautilin, from the Star Wars universe, and I just kind of grabbed, one of them. I was like, yeah, all of the tentacles off of the dude's head. Yeah, that's what I look like. Sure. But it's absolutely a lot of fun. I definitely recommend checking it out. And for like intro to RPGs, whether you're talking about kids or adults, I think this is, one of the best starts if you're looking to get into it.
Yeah, and for that piece of art, that's just on his character sheet. For the actual stream itself, we do have some character art that Stephen Partridge actually drew up, which probably looks a bit different than the art that you uploaded. Like, I did the same thing just for the character sheet as a reference that only I see.
Yeah.
I uploaded an image of someone. There was a picture of it's not even GIF. It's just a hippo person in a tuxedo. I just thought was funny. But then like Steven went and, and I used that for like kind of a reference piece when Steven was drawing art for the characters. And I was like, oh, that looks really cool. So, we're having a lot of fun with it. Quest is a super flexible system. If you don't want to be bogged down by a lot of rules and options, and most of the things that you come up with and options you do have are narrative, Quest RPG, we'll put some links in the description for you to check out. Let us know if you're playing Quest, your thoughts on it, what your games look like, what kind of games you're playing. Share with the Nerdarchy community down in the comments.
While you're down there, don't forget to do all those things that make the YouTube algorithm happy, as well as Nerdarchy. Like, share, subscribe, even go ahead and click on that notification bell so you don't miss a single video.
Quick reminder, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we drop new videos here on the channel. If you can't wait till then, you can check out Pathfinder 2e, Nerdarchy plays other role-playing games up here.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.